Thank you for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Senate Republicans are planning to vote again today on their health care plan, and President Trump is making it clear he wants to repeal Obamacare. But the White House is already getting ready to move ahead with its next priority, a tax reform plan to help boost the economy. Ben Kennedy has the story now from Washington.
President Trump increased the pressure on Republican senators as they prepare to take on health care again. As he said, it is time for the GOP to finally fulfill their 7-year promise to repeal and replace Obamacare. On Monday, Trump stood with families he called victims of Obamacare, suffering through high premiums and broken promises.
Any senator who votes against starting debate is telling America that you are fine with the Obamacare nightmare, which is what it is.
But even Republican senators weren't clear going into today if they will vote to repeal and replace Obamacare or just repeal it for now and try to come up with a replacement plan later. In a burst of optimism, Senator John McCain, recently diagnosed with brain cancer, announced he'll return to Capitol Hill for roll call. Despite the outcome of today's vote, the White House plans to move ahead with the rest of the president's economic agenda. Tax cuts are set to take center stage, even if the health care bill fails. Is this going to be tax reform or tax cuts?
There's a real debate going on now. There are some proponents of reform, which the country really needs, who would like to go in that direction. There are other proponents who say, let's just cut taxes across the board.
It's been more than 30 years since Congress passed a major tax reform law. Greg Valliere of Horizon Investments sat down with CBN to explain what a new bill could do to improve the tax code. What will tax reform look like as compared to what people are hoping to see?
Well, two big components. One would be significant business tax cuts, going from a 35% top rate to maybe low 20s. The president wants 15. I don't think he's going to get that.
The other major component, it appears the White House has a plan, aiming to focus cuts and taxes for millions of individual Americans.
We'll see rates come down a bit. We'll see a change in the way people deduct. We might see the estate tax end, and we'll probably see the death of the alternative minimum tax.
The administration is reportedly very organized in its push to pass a tax bill and will start pitching tax reform in mid-August, aiming to take shape in the fall and signed into law early next year. Ben Kennedy, CBN News, Washington.
This is the second day President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, faces private meetings with congressional investigators. He testified before the Senate Intelligence Committee Monday. Kushner serves as a senior advisor to the president. He's answering questions about his Russia contacts during the 2016 election. Monday's 2-hour session was behind closed doors. Kushner did address reporters outside the White House.
The record and documents I have voluntarily provided will show that all of my actions were proper and occurred in the normal course of events of a very unique campaign. Let me be very clear. I did not collude with Russia, nor do I know of anyone else in the campaign who did so. Donald Trump had a better message and ran a smarter campaign, and that is why he won.
Today's testimony is before the House Intelligence Committee. This Tuesday, the U.S. House of Representatives is set to vote on the Make America Secure Appropriations Act. But as Paul Strand reports, included in this spending bill is money to pay for sex change surgeries and hormone therapies in the military, a move that has drawn some opposition.
The Family Research Council estimates those surgeries and hormones could cost up to $3.7 billion in the next 10 years. Some lawmakers tried this month to get that money tossed out of the defense spending measure, but 23 Republicans joined House Democrats to defeat the move. Former Army Special Forces Commander Jerry Boykin has some words for those GOP lawmakers.
If we're going to take money in this year's defense budget that will be set aside to perform surgery for transgender people that we recruited into the military, you got your priorities wrong. So I'd say to these Republicans, find some courage.
That money for sex reassignment surgery and hormones could pay for 22 F-35 jets, or 116 combat helicopters, or 3,700 Tomahawk missiles.
America's military has been at war for 16 years. Now the military is broken. We've left equipment behind because it's been worn out after 16 years. We have a lot of needs. We've suffered through sequestration. We've suffered through program budget cuts. Now you're telling me that we are going to squander more money?
Because of these tax dollars going for sex change surgeries in the military, FRC is asking lawmakers to oppose the Make America Secure Appropriations Act. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
The parents of 11-month-old Charlie Gard have ended their long legal fight to save his life. Mom and Dad acknowledge time has run out for their son and he'll likely die before his first birthday, which happens on August 4th. Pope Francis has called for prayers for Charlie Gard and his parents. Charlene Aaron has more in this story.
Heartbroken, parents of baby Charlie Gard announced Monday his battle is over, ending their fight to take him to the U.S. for experimental treatment.
We are truly devastated. As Charlie's devoted and loving parents, we have decided that it's no longer in Charlie's best interests to pursue treatment, and we will let our son go and be with the angels.
Charlie was born with a rare genetic disease called mitochondrial DNA depletion syndrome. It produces progressive muscle deterioration, brain damage, and organ failure, and required a ventilator for Charlie to breathe. Great Ormond Street Hospital in the UK advocated to remove Charlie's life support, arguing that treatment would not help and would subject the infant to pain. Chris Gard and Connie Yates believe their son is not brain dead and feel that earlier treatment would have improved his quality of life.
Had Charlie been given the treatment sooner, he would have had the potential to be a normal, healthy little boy. We will have to live with the what-ifs, which will haunt us for the rest of our lives.
The case made global headlines, with Pope Francis and President Trump weighing in support of baby Charlie. Art Estopinan of Baltimore also tracked the case because his 6-year-old son has a similar condition and was treated successfully. When Connie Yates learned of Estopinan's son's successful treatment, she contacted him and was then introduced to Dr. Michio Hirano, a Columbia University neurologist. Dr. Hirano flew to the UK to examine Charlie earlier this week. But the latest scans revealed the damage had been done. It was now too late. Estopinan told CBN News he was devastated upon learning that Charlie would be removed from life support.
I see Charlie Gard, my son, and as a father, I'm convinced if the doctors here in the United States and the other international doctors believed that they could have helped Charlie, they're the doctors, they're the experts. I believe that it would have helped him as well.
In 2 weeks, Charlie would have turned 1. He will now be put in palliative care and allowed to die.
Sleep tight, our beautiful little boy. We love you.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Israeli security officers removed the metal detectors from the Temple Mount Tuesday morning. They were installed 2 weeks ago after an attack at the holy site where 2 police officers were killed. Israel's security cabinet voted Tuesday to remove the metal detectors and replace them with more, quote, advanced technologies. Law enforcement agencies and Christian ministries team up to bring an end to sex trafficking. Find out how one group is turning women from the streets to a fresh start next. At least 10 people are dead after police discovered a human smuggling operation in the back of a tractor trailer. The truck was parked in a Walmart parking lot in San Antonio, Texas. An employee alerted police about the vehicle after a man approached him asking for water. Police found 8 people dead and 30 others seriously hurt, including children. Many were suffering from heat stroke and dehydration. The surviving victims were taken to the hospital Saturday night. There, 2 more people died. The driver of the truck has been arrested. Police report nearly 200 people were trapped inside the vehicle. Human trafficking is one of the ugliest crimes imaginable, but now there is a new way to rescue women from the streets. It involves police sting operations and an opportunity for women caught in trafficking to start a whole new life. Heather Sells went on a police ride-along to show us how it works.
Sarasota, Florida offers tourists beautiful weather, excellent shopping, and a prime location on the Gulf of Mexico. There is, however, a dark, gritty side to this city, and it's here where human trafficking flourishes.
If you can, try not to pull over in a congested area.
It's why Sarasota police and the group Selah Freedom organize undercover sting operations every month. Their goal, turn women from the streets to services that will help them start a new life.
She's crossing the street. Yeah, she's going to be on the east side. She's actually coming your way.
Here's how it works. A male undercover officer poses as a buyer, searching the area where the sex trade thrives. Our car is one of several police units following him. Within minutes, he's found a young woman who quickly steps into his vehicle and agrees to his offer.
Yeah, I charge $25, Okay, 25? Yeah.
That's already a good deal.
Moments later, police surround the truck to arrest her on a misdemeanor charge. But there's a twist. After taking her to the station, Selah Freedom will offer her services instead of jail.
Once they get arrested, they're bonded out within a day at the most, maybe 2 days, by their pimp or trafficker. They would call this person their boyfriend. They would tell us that they're not a victim, they're not being trafficked.
To escape this cycle, Pentecost worked with Sarasota police and the state attorney's office to develop the program Turn Your Life Around, or TYLA.
When they're arrested, we want alternatives. We want a diversion. We want a solution.
As a way to coax them off the street, Pentecost connects the women with what they need, be it shelter, clothes, or a job. Sometimes it's medical care for a pregnancy. Usually she's turned down by women who don't trust her, don't think they're being trafficked, or simply aren't ready for a change.
It takes 7 to 8 times statistically for a woman to say yes.
You try, and a lot of them aren't ready. And then when one finally comes on board and they're ready and they want help, that's a huge success.
And TYLA's successes are growing. When it started in 2013, less than 1 in 5 women took the opportunity to leave the streets. Today, more than half choose to leave their pimps. Courtney left almost 2 years ago. Her life on the streets began when a trafficker convinced her it would support her drug habit.
He was selling me on this was money all day long. Anytime you wanted it, you could get money. He showed me a girl and what she was doing, and a car pulled up, and he says, "This is your one." So I got in the car, and my very first date was a maybe late 60s white old man that made me lay down in the car, pulled me into his garage so his neighbors couldn't see me.
45 minutes later, she handed her pimp $80, which he used to buy her crack cocaine. That addiction, plus a fear of retaliation, kept her captive for 12 years.
Once you've had your first beat, once you've been beaten your first time, once you've been raped your first time, once you've been drugged your first time, those are vivid in your mind, and a paranoia comes to you.
After an especially brutal rape, Courtney met Pentecost during a sting operation. She agreed to detox and then to a trafficking shelter.
At this point, I was kind of wondering, what kind of place is this? But I was ready. I didn't want to walk the street no more. I really didn't want to do it.
Courtney also found help in the TYLA court. Specialized program dismisses charges for trafficking victims who complete treatment and graduate from the program.
The mindset has changed substantially for our prosecutors. So I think that we are now looking at these women, mostly women, as victims. In the vast majority of cases, they are true victims.
Pentecost says most of the women were abused as children, paving the way for them to run into the arms of traffickers and an incredibly violent life.
We know that they're messing with death, whether it's suicide, violence, drug overdose. They are going through it.
Sarasota police also go after the buyers with another set of sting operations. They're not sure just how many buy sex each day, but they believe that if they can reduce demand and rescue women, they can save lives. Sarasota's success in diverting women off the street is beginning to attract attention from other cities. And if its effectiveness continues, it could become a leader in the fight against human trafficking. Reporting in Sarasota, Florida, Heather Sells, CBN News.
Up next, a wake-up call from one of conservatives' leading minds. See why he says it's so important to rediscover Americanism. A radio talk show host wants Americans to understand the concepts that gave birth to this country. David Brody sits down with him to talk about his new book, Rediscovering Americanism.
As the Patriot, Mel Gibson may have played the movie role, but national author, TV, and radio personality Mark Levin wants to bring that persona to the modern-day world via the airwaves.
This is Levin TV. I'm Mark Levin, where we are not fair and balanced. We are 100% pro-American and patriots here.
His new book, Rediscovering Americanism, provides to Americans clues to this country's structural founding and the progressive philosophy trying to fundamentally destroy it.
People are curious about their country. They're curious about its founding. They're curious about liberty. They don't hear a lot about it. You turn on TV, never hear about it. The culture never discusses it.
Levin rights that wrong by going deeper into the writings of top liberal philosophers and thinkers in order to reveal their true agenda.
The early progressives, like Wilson and Crowley and these fellows, they relied on philosophers like Marx and Hegel and Rousseau, all of whom reject the notion of the laws of nature and nature's God. Now that phrase, those phrases, are in our Declaration of Independence. They're not even taught in most public schools. They're certainly not taught in universities and colleges. Yet that goes to the core of our founding.
Levin says rejecting natural law means progressives reject a vital part of civil society.
There are universal laws. There are universal eternal truths, right and wrong, good and evil, a moral order. People are to be virtuous and prudential and be temperate and so forth and so on. And what does it mean, universal truths? Well, these God-given universal truths. Man can't make them, man can't take them away, whether it's in the form of a legislature or a dictator or a vote of your community.
Levin points out President Woodrow Wilson as one of the biggest offenders who espoused a progressive doctrine before taking over as commander-in-chief.
Woodrow Wilson relentlessly attacked separation of powers. He relentlessly attacked the principles of the Declaration. He dismissed them. He dismissed the Declaration as a revolutionary document by pioneers that have nothing to do with a modern and complex society, as he had to be a progressive.
Levin says progressives believe rewriting American history will allow them to create a monster government where the state and individual become one. In other words, a world where elites know best, not you.
Let me ask you a question about that. With this massive administrative state, how are these people experts? They're part of the civil service. They're part of a public sector union. Some of them have their jobs because of seniority. Some of them have them because of affirmative action. Is it based on training? Is it based on Ivy League schools? Is it based on experience? So the whole myth that government's filled with these experts who are noble, who are going to find, who are going to improve healthcare and education and so forth. It's been a myth. It's been a lie from day one, from their philosophers to their thinkers, to their current politicians like Bernie Sanders.
Levin says elitism leads to government-created rights never intended by our founders.
Our colonists didn't fight a revolution for health care and food and shelter. They figured, we'll take care of that. We want our liberty. We want our freedom. We do not engage in the battle of ideas, not so much against elites, but elitism. We're going to lose. Because most societies are formed by the elites, by the intellectuals, by the academics, whether we like it or not.
You could say this book issues a dire warning: rediscover Americanism or risk losing our country's reason for being. Another example of Levin seeking to play the role of patriot, or possibly that of modern-day founding father, if there were such a thing.
Have you ever thought about going back in time to a certain period in history and where you might...
Yes.
I had a feeling you might have thought about that. What period of history would have that been?
I would have loved to have been a delegate at the Constitutional Convention. And sometimes I think to myself, I was born at the wrong time. I really do. That the birth of a nation, to have an impact at the birth of a nation, not that I would have done any better, but just to participate in that, I can't think of anything other than family. I can't think of anything more glorious. And so I think that would be it.
What about being a truth teller today, though?
History will judge.
Judging by the bestseller lists, Mark Levin is clearly making a difference. A modern-day patriot using pen, microphone, and today's media as his weapons to keep the dream of America's founders alive. David Brody, CBN News.
Now, once again, that book is Rediscovering Americanism, and you can buy it wherever books are sold. Stay with us. There's more of CBN NewsWatch straight ahead. It is time now for your Tuesday Tweetable. It's a message I pray will inspire you and encourage you to post, tag, tweet, and share it with others. Consider this. The secret to getting what you need is to give what you want. If you want love, give love. If you need a hand, lend a hand. Be what you want for someone else, and there are blessings that are sure to return. The other joy in that is it won't take a lifetime. It will happen in an instant. With that word, make this a terrific Tuesday. That is a wrap for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about, always at cbnnews.com. You can also reach out to us to tell us about the stories you've seen and what you think about them by emailing newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Have a terrific Tuesday. We'll see you right back here come tomorrow. Goodbye and God bless.